Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the AccountaBuddy podcast, episode 9. My name is Dom.
Tom.
In this episode, we have our first guest. Welcome, Tony Peck, Godfather of Marketing, co-founder, Why Not You Media, Why Not Print. Tony, how you doing?
Fantastic. Another day in paradise. Thank you guys for having me on.
Tony, how good do you feel being our first guest?
I feel fantastic being the first guest.
Good.
Definitely feel great about it.
We
Appreciate
were
it.
curious. It was between you and Elon, but you made the cut.
I think I'm a little better than Elon, to be honest with you.
Just a little.
Getting there.
Definitely more personal. So, we're at the Doc James Car Lounge in Mamaroneck, right?
Yep, Mamaroneck.
Yeah, so Tony Peck he started a business called Why Not You Media, and he's a good person to be a guest on this podcast because he went after it just like,
We did, like you are.
just like the listeners are, the people who download download the app. Like, this is the clientele we're looking for. So, Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, how you started Why Not You?
Yeah, so I actually got started in here, believe it or not, where the idea came from. So I'll get into that whole little story, but a little background on me. Italian-American from the Bronx. Father, union guy, worked for Con Ed his whole life, and never knew anything about being entrepreneurial. I've always been entrepreneurial as a kid. Back when I was a kid, it wasn't as sexy of a topic as it is nowadays. And, snow days, never had a day off. I'd go out and shovel. I'd sell, at that point in time, Yu-Gi-Oh cards was a big thing, so I was flipping those. I'd go up to Pennsylvania flea markets and flip the BB guns in high school, working 2-3 jobs.
True hustler.
True hustler. And I enjoyed it. At the end of the day, my dad was like, anything you need, necessity-wise, clothing, food, and shelter, I got you. But if you want to go out anytime, it's on you. Yeah. Whether movie, dinner, whatever it was. And that started in the 6th grade. So got my first job in the 7th grade. I got to work for my grandfather at his pizzeria. So he's an immigrant from Italy and got to learn a lot from him. But as I went through high school, just got to see that, I know what I wanted to do. And my father was like, you got to go to college because I didn't, and that should give you a better advantage in life because you don't know what you don't know. And when I went to college, I said, you know what, I don't know what I wanted to be. I was good at math and science. Engineering sound good. You're in and out 4 years. You get a pretty decent paying job when you graduate. Sounds good to me. I'm not a big school guy. I don't want to be in there for long. So I went to Manhattan College and started studying mechanical engineering. Started my first company when I was in school, by the way, freshman year. It was a lip balm company, Tony's Lip Care, TLC. Yep. And I would go dorm room to dorm room in my guinea tin. I was in good shape back then. And I would sell these high-end little lip balms. I had these black oval tubes. They were like a nice gloss finish.
They fell off a truck somewhere?
Something like that. The school actually sponsored me, and I was using their laboratory to make my formula. And on the weekends, you go out as a college kid, but I would wake up every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. I'd come to trade shows up in Westchester with a bunch of the local moms, and I would sell. And I learned business. I learned how to open up a business banking account. I learned about taxes. I learned about insurance. I learned about sales. I got into some big box retailers for meetings and quickly turned down because I was an 18-year-old kid, extremely wet behind the ears. But the shit that it taught me, and I hope I can curse on this, but if not,
Put the explicit next.
There we go. The editor can bleep it out.
Curse as much as you want.
Yes.
Awesome, good. So got to learn an immense amount of things from that, and I kind of got that entrepreneur bug from there. And while I went through college, did odds and end things. I was a bouncer, made good money that way. I was doing homework for people. My business partner, Michael, he would do the homework. I would get the sale.
Oh, my goodness.
And we had a little racket over there. And then junior year, that's when I think I would say my life changed to get to where I am now. I got into cigars. And while I was at Manhattan College, I'd hop on the 1 train, get into Manhattan. And I went to Nat Sherman for the first time. And Nat Sherman, the layout of the lounge, it's not like this lounge, like downstairs, it's, you go with people that you know. Nat Sherman, it's in Manhattan, and I would go in the daytime, like noon, 1 in the afternoon. It would be only guys that didn't know each other. And there was only so many seats in the main area. So you'd sit down in a circle, 6 guys, none of them knew each other. Someone's on the phone, someone's reading a magazine, someone's reading a book, someone's newspaper, whatever it is. And I didn't know anything about cigars, I didn't know anyone there. But I would sit down, the youngest kid, everyone's 40, 50, 60, and I would just say to the most friendly looking guy, hey, I heard that was a good cigar, you got any recommendations? And he would start telling me about cigars. And the guy next to him would jump in. Oh, hey, kid, what do you do? Oh, I'm a college student. Oh, wow, you're my son's age or my daughter's age. And these guys started teaching me stuff about business, life, insurance, real estate. Like, this is insane. Yeah. So come senior year, I actually stopped going out on the weekends. I just spent all my time in the city. I'd go to the cigar lounge that night, and I'd just be around these guys. I joined a lounge, Lexington were in books at the time, and the proximity that I had. By the time I graduated college, I had relationships with Rudy Giuliani, the Prince of Finland, the owner of Bacardi, people that I would never be able to be around. Like I said, my dad's a union guy. This wasn't like a lifestyle. I wasn't born around these types of things. Right. I was like, this is really fucking amazing. I think I'm meant for more. And listen, at the end of the day, I graduated with an engineering degree. So I said, now's my time to take a risk. Worst case, if it fails, I get back into engineering. I get the degree to go get a job. And when I graduated college, I started trading penny stocks. So I wasn't even into marketing right off the rip. And while I was trading the penny stocks, I'd actually come to this lounge, I'd sit at this table, I'd start trading stocks. And I had all the time in the world, because you're only trading for like 2-3 hours a day.
I thought I saw you on Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Were you on it?
You nailed it right there. The Wolf of Marketing.
That's great.
So I was doing that, and I had all the time in the world. So I said, let me make an Instagram page just in case I want to sell a trading course in the future. Made my first page, getting good traction. I said, I got more time, I'll make another page. So I did one for cigars, and one for cars, one for food, one for fitness. Long story short, I had 15 accounts, and in 4 months I had over 400,000 followers. And this is 7 years ago now.
Right.
And I know what to do with this.
Number.
It was insane. Yeah. And of course, Instagram, the way it was back then, the traction you were getting was so much quicker. It was exponential growth. But I didn't know what I had. People started reaching out to me. Hey, I see you have all these different accounts. Can you help me grow my page? Yeah, sure, why not? They're like, oh, how much?
Why not?
There you go.
So I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And how much do you want? I'm like, I don't know, send me $20. And they would Venmo me $20. Like, oh, this is cool. I would log in, I would go engage for them and such, and then people would ask me, hey, can you post my picture? Sure, how much? $4, $3, whatever it was. I'm like, this is crazy, you're gonna pay me anything to do stuff on social. And at this point in time, I just kept growing the pages, didn't know what I had there. I ended up getting into a job into construction at that time. Being a project manager, I just wanted to learn about building. Just when I buy properties in the future, I want to have a basic knowledge of construction. And at that time, I said I have a good network of kids my age that are entrepreneurial. So I started a little networking group in this lounge. Every Wednesday night, you come here, and by the end of the first 3 or 4 months I had it, a bunch of people would come and go, but there was only 2 people that came every week. It was my 2 existing business partners, Mike and Fran. So we looked at each other and we said, listen, we're here every single week. Everyone else is here and there, once a month, once every 5 weeks. Let's shut the doors and we'll get together every Wednesday and we'll come up with a business. So we started meeting every Wednesday night, and we wanted to know what we were going to figure out doing. I was in construction. My other business partner, Mike, he was also an engineer, went to college with me. He was also in construction at the time, and Fran was doing mortgages. And Fran also got into stunts. He was a professional stuntman, so he got a SAG card and everything like that. So we're getting together and we're like, what can we do? What are we into? And the commonality was we just want to make a difference in some way, shape, or form. Right. And at that time, I was going to a lot of different entrepreneur events, and you're paying for the ticket. Meanwhile, I had a full-time job, so money's not as easily dispensable as I can just buy tickets left and right and just take off. Right. You go to these events, and it's just a pitch fest. There's no value given from the stage. I'm like, this is almost fucking criminal, to be honest with you. Right. So we reconvened, and we said, you know what? Why don't we start an event company where we can host entrepreneur events that you pay your ticket, and there's no pitching. It's just pure value. The speakers are not allowed to pitch. They have to give value. That's it. Mm-hmm. So that was our first idea. And we're working on a name. And I remember vividly, Fran was sitting over there. I was on that couch, and Mike was on that couch. And Fran just looks up to us. He was like on the phone. He looks up, and he goes, why not you? My mom always told me, why can't you be who you want to be? And we're like, we love it. That's great. That fits into the brand of us doing these events. Now, also at this time, like I said, we all had a full-time job, so money wasn't as disposable. So now we're thinking, if we rent out a place, it doesn't fill, what happens? Right. So like, maybe we start with like a product or something. And Fran's like, you're already doing this Instagram stuff. Why don't we turn into a media business, and we'll do the Instagram for people to fund this idea of doing the events? And that's how we kind of started. And we started doing that for people. We were growing their pages. And then it became, hey, can you do content for us? Yeah, we brought a videographer on. Mark was our first videographer. And then, hey, can you do websites? Mike started learning about websites. And then, hey, can you do ads? We found an ad guy. And we just started scaling and expanding. And now we've been full-time for ourselves 3.5 years. We've been featured on Forbes. We've been flown out over the country to talk. We've been on TV. And it's been a really amazing journey to help as many businesses as we have in this short span.
Right.
Well, I assume throughout that time you had supporters and non-supporters.
Majorly many non-supporters in the early beginning.
That's kind of a big question that we always ask, right? It's like, we have a ton of friends really good friends, mm-hmm. but you don't really see the support, mm-hmm. right? So how did you deal with that part of it? And was it as simple as you just being like, don't support me, fine, I'll still be, we're friends, but whatever, but. Yeah.
It's a big thing that everybody has a roadblock. Mm-hmm. Your core people around you, your friends, your family, especially your family, your parents, your siblings, mm-hmm. or whatever, people that influence your life the most. And you tell them about anything you want to do. I want to start a business. Mm-hmm. I want to quit my job to start a business.
Yep.
I want to start working out. And you'll hit roadblocks, but I think the biggest roadblock is the negativity mm-hmm. that you may get from people who you love.
Yep.
But then they say, hey, it's not a good idea. You really shouldn't do it.
It's tough, but at the end of the day, they don't know what they don't know. So in their hearts, they're looking out for your best interest, and they genuinely believe you leaving your 9 to 5 is taking a massive risk that you're not going to be able to build the business that you say you do. Because mm-hmm. they may never seen you do something like that. They may not know you as well as you know yourself. And of course, at the end of the day, I tell people this all the time. It's no one's job to believe in you as much as it is for you to believe in yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's your dream. So I can't expect my father to believe in my dream as much as I'm going to believe in it. And that's what people need, that validation of. They need others to believe in it. But I dismissed the idea quick. My father was so against me doing my own thing. He's like, you have a degree in engineering. What the fuck are you doing on your phone all day? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're not making money. What are you doing?
Right.
And I was like, you're not paying any extra bills for me, so like, let me just do my thing. I'm living at home. I'm paying my part of it, and that's it. Like, I'm just figuring it out. In worst case, I can go back on my degree. You're an idiot. Go work at Con Ed, be an engineer, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do my thing. And, when you start, it's extremely uncomfortable because you don't have support. Like most people are not going to have support from family and friends. They're going to be the least supportive out of everyone. But being that I was on social media, I started building a community and a tribe of people that I never met, never knew, all over the world that started supporting me.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, my message is something that people want to hear and they're relating to it. And that's kind of what started fueling me to continue doing it and being out there. So if you're having a difficult time with support people that just putting yourself out there on social platforms, which costs you nothing but your time to just be out there and be a little uncomfortable, you're going to find people that vibe with you. And then they become your tribe and your community. And then you're like, okay, if they're supporting me, what more can I do? And the more that you become bigger, then more people will support you, like your family and friends over time. But by then, you don't need it.
Yeah, I think it's the uncomfortableness that gets to most people of sticking your neck out there and being like, because I know it was for me, like with AccountaBuddy, even Empire Party Rentals, our other company, it's like, if you're not good and charismatic, it's difficult for people to do that. And it seems like you have that gift of being able to talk to people.
That's my passion. I really enjoy it. And, the cigars really heighten my maturity with talking to older people to do business with, and just how you bring a cadence off that people want to talk and deal with you and like you and hang out with you. And if you're someone that's listening that's not like that, partner with someone that is. That's the best advice I can give. On the ground level, it's just sweat equity in the beginning, go 50-50. Like me and my 3 partners were 33% each. I'm the talker. They're not.
Who's the 34?
Well, 33.3 actually.
Somebody's got to be 33.4 then.
Yeah, that's true.
0.4 goes into a pot.
Yeah.
You guys,
Take another
vacation pot.
It's like the Hunger Games for that one.
No, but it's good. You guys all have, and I know all these guys personally. They all have their very, very strong suits, and they all work well together.
Is there anybody that as part of that group that brings it to home a little bit? Because, yes, shoot for the stars, everything like that. That's Dominic, right? Yeah. Dominic is the, we want to be up here, and I'm more of the realist, I guess you'd call it. To be like, hey, so we were listening to podcasts on the ride here, and like this is not going to be an overnight thing. You asked us prior to this podcast, is, where's AccountaBuddy right now? It's not where we want it to be. We don't have nearly the amount of downloads. We don't have nearly the amount of paid subscribers. Right. But that's where you have some good give and take, and it seems like you have that with your business partners, which could be difficult to find, I would assume.
Very difficult to find good partners, and I think if you're listening and you want to get partners, it's a very difficult thing to have. The best advice I can give on partnerships is finding people that just align with your core values, 100%. And everything else will fall into place from there. 100%. I think that's like the biggest recipe for success with partnerships.
There's a lot of trial and error that goes into it too. It doesn't take. It takes time.
It takes time to learn communicating between each other, not arguing, not going to bed. Listen, it's almost like a marriage. Yeah. Can't go to bed angry. We'll get into little bickerments with our brothers.
It's worse than a marriage.
Yeah.
Especially if you're brothers.
Yeah.
You have to see each other at the family event the next day.
That's like us. Me and Mike, one of my partners, we grew up together.
Yeah.
So holidays were together anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like we were already brothers, and it's just like, okay, now it's a different dynamic, but you just got to make it work if we have the same goal, and that's it. Now it's all our livelihoods. It's our baby.
Exactly. So one thing we like to tell our listeners and people who download the app and everything is, you can't, I'm not saying work 365 days a year, but it's a day-to-day grind with whatever the task is, right? So let's say your task is to lose weight. Every day you need to be in a caloric deficit, right? Or grow a business. Every day you need to reach people.
Yep.
And you need to just keep climbing that ladder.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks like you started this how many years ago? 3-4 years ago, right?
3.5 years full time.
So if I want to be like you as an influencer, and I look at your social page, by the way, it's phenomenal.
Thank you, appreciate that.
350,000 followers.
Purely from good looks.
Of course.
Strictly from that.
Strictly from that. That's it.
That's why I follow.
But anyway, that's not an overnight thing.
No.
And it's something that you chipped at daily. Like if you look at, people look at success and this thing is like, oh, I can't reach that.
Yeah.
So why am I going to waste my time starting it today?
Why not?
Why not?
Exactly.
Why can't you?
But day-to-day progress.
Yeah.
Right? I want to lose 50 pounds by the summer. Well, by the way, we're here. It's over.
We told you months ago. We told you months ago to start that.
Should have been on AccountaBuddy. You would have been there by now.
But you guys have this following. You guys have all the success you have because of every single day. You overcome your trials and tribulations, and you just kept going.
Yeah, I call it chipping at the rock every single day. And when I was in high school, my yearbook quote, actually, and this is before I even knew what I'd become, it was, there was a guy, he went to hit a rock 99 times. He gave up. He never broke through. Next guy came, one swing, cracked it open, hit gold. And that just shows you never know how close you are to that level of success, but you have to keep chipping at it every single day, no matter what. And in the beginning, when you're in business, people may size themselves up to people in their industry or what they want to do as, wow, that's who I want to be like. And then you almost get discouraged when you don't see their level of success in the time frame that you think you should get there. Right. But instead, you have to think, listen, in the beginning, your biggest advantage is you have time. Right. You may not have money to spend, but you have time to put into it. And that's where you're going to make the money in the long run. And in the beginning, that's all I did. We'd sit in the office when we got the office. I'd send out 250 to 400 DMs every single day and only get a couple answers and maybe try to get a few people on the phone, maybe close one or two deals, get one or two reviews and referrals, and you just keep building and building and building. Then you just get momentum, and then you never want to see the momentum go backwards, and you're working harder to keep it going.
Exactly. Well, success is not a linear line. It's not just going straight up. You know what I mean? So that being
it's like the stock market and crypto markets right now.
Well, that being said, 3.5 years, obviously where you're at now, at any point in time, a big dip, something like that may have happened where you really questioned what you were doing, if you were in the right space?
Never. And we took months of no pay, like 6, 7, 8 months, no pay. Yeah. Never once did I say, it's not what I meant to do.
Rainy day fund? Do you have something to solidify your bills for 6 months?
Use your credit card, figure it out. Pray that you're going to make it work. You put yourself against the wall, and that's how you work under pressure. The diamond's made under pressure. So the more pressure you can put on yourself, that type of person to push through with it.
No plan B, right?
That's it.
That's what you talked about last episode.
Well, there you go. I agree with you. I always say there's no pushing on the plan B. You got to figure out another way to make plan A work. That should be your only plan B.
Yeah. Well, if you have a plan B, you're like, all right, I got this to fall back on.
Correct. You don't want that.
There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from your plan A.
Yep.
And you go until plan A dies on you.
Or you die. That's really the way to look at it.
It's a
little morbid, but it's the truth.
No, it is.
I think what's difficult about that, and I'll say I'm one of those people that I could not stop everything right now, family, kids, mortgage, stuff like that, and just do this.
No, right? You're in a different situation, absolutely.
So there are people out there like me, and then there's people out there like you were 3.5 years ago that you could do it.
Single, no kids,
You're in like a position of your life that you can.
100%.
So take that with a grain of salt. Granted, I think that there's extreme value into like, hey, this is my only thing. Yeah. That's it. Can't this. It's this or bust.
Yeah.
That's just difficult. So I just want to make a point of that like I'd be sick if I could just be like, yeah, AccountaBuddy. And then be like, oh, wait, we only have X amount of subscribers. How am I supposed to pay for daycare?
Yeah. Well, listen, when you're in a 9 to 5, you're listening, like you said, you're in a situation like you.
Yeah, you're just trying to do something on this, going.
Once you get out of work, you have the rest of the time to do it. Like I cut out TV. I cut out listening to the radio, podcasts only in my commute when I was working my 9 to 5. I got home. I got rid of my TV. Didn't watch sports anymore. I loved being a bookie back in college and high school. Got rid of all that because it was like that's not conducive to my goal.
You know how impossible it is for some people to do?
It's sad because that can give you so much extra time to put into where you actually want to become, especially compounded over time.
Yeah. It's crazy because the amount of TV that I used to watch versus the amount of TV I watch now, I used to burn out. I used to go through maybe 4 or 5 episodes of The Office every single night.
Wow.
When I wasn't like grinding
on the goal,
with like 3 or 4 different companies, but I'd be lucky if I get half an ep in before. Yeah. And
before you fall
that's
asleep.
Me hitting the bed at like 11 o'clock at night, and then I wake up and the TV's blaring because I fell asleep. Yeah. I just crashed. But you got to give up this to achieve this, and this is where you're going to grow, right?
Got to give up the short-term pleasure for the long-term goal.
Well, that's where I think that you take this day-to-day thing, right, that we preach about AccountaBuddy. It's like, okay, what your day-to-day goal. So we've talked about this on other pods. I hate reading. Okay. Don't enjoy it. I start to lose track in the middle of it. But if I could start saying, okay, let me read, I'll start 5 pages a day. let me then, once I'm comfortable with that, 10 pages a day.
Go to 6.
Yeah.
You start with 1. Like, I think people sometimes they set these unrealistic things to actually get the ball rolling. I remember someone was saying to me, like, if you want to get more sales, talk to 1 person a day. 1.
Right.
And then you build to 2.
Right.
Like, you don't have to start with 50. You don't have to start with 70. Start with 1. Start with going to the gym. Get into the gym for 1 minute.
Right.
That sounds so, like, why would I even
Just
get to the
go.
gym for a minute?
Yeah.
Just get in the habit of getting there.
Get to the parking lot.
Get it, leave. Okay, cool. Now I'm there at least once a day.
Yeah.
Then you take it 2 minutes. Then I'm going to do 3 minutes. Then I'm going to walk in and I'm going to do 1 exercise.
Right.
Like, you can do it as minutiae as you want, but just realize that little act of doing is what expands into that snowball effect down the hill.
I had this exact talk with one of my agents on the real estate team. And once you make that first call, you're just going to be like, I could do another.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't that bad.
No, exactly.
I could do another. They have another call. They get more momentum behind them. They get more confident in what they're saying in their script or whatever they have to do. And then they make 20 calls that day.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's just the day-to-day grind. And another thing that we do, well, actually for the real estate business, we hire you guys to do our marketing.
Yep.
And you guys send out how many DMs a day for us?
About 50.
50
Yeah.
DMs a day. We've been doing it for how long? A year or so?
Almost 2 years. Yeah, I think about a year and a half. Yeah.
And then the first 6 months, we're like, all right. I mean, we're looking for an ROI
Yeah.
as a business. But we both knew, myself and Lou, we both knew, all right, this is a long-term play.
Yep.
And we're seeing it, And people are like, they won't like our stuff, but I'll see them out and about at a restaurant, like,
They know you.
oh yeah, I saw you on that thing. Like, yeah. Thanks for the like.
You were that guy.
You never know who's watching, man.
That's true.
I get so many people that reach out to me through the years from following me on Instagram, and they've never liked a single thing. They never commented a single thing. Like, hey, Tony, I've been following you for 3.5 years. It's going to call. I need help. I'm like,
Right.
I've never seen you interact in any capacity. You never sent me a message, and you've been watching me for 3.5 years.
Jealousy.
You never know who's watching. It's true, though. You're right.
I truthfully think that is the biggest thing. And jealousy of maybe the means to do it, or jealousy of the idea, period, or jealousy of they wish that they had the...
I'll hold myself accountable. Okay. I'm jealous of you. The way that you could just turn on a camera, because I watch your shit all day long. You could just talk to your camera every single day. I can't do that.
And when I started, I wasn't able to either.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was day-by-day
you
thing.
did it once, and you're like, I'm good at this, and you did it again and again and again. And every day, your story is...
Every day.
You're not your top. It's small, because you got a bunch of stories.
Exactly.
But they all have value. It's not something like...
Yeah.
some nonsense.
No, it's showing what I'm doing to build, and it's me giving value about what I'm learning and what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But in the beginning, it's very difficult. Like when I started with my stories, it would take me 20, 25 takes. People don't realize I had a speech impediment as a kid. I couldn't say drink, I would say dwink. I used to get made fun of for it. And I remember when I got flown out to California. No, people don't know that. And I got flown out to California in September before the pandemic, 2019, yeah. And I got on a TV show over there. They interviewed me. When I got off the TV show, I did a story. And I said, isn't it crazy? Now I'm speaking on TV, and I was a kid with the impediment. I used to get made fun of. It's just like, why not you? You literally could achieve anything you put your mind to.
Well, dude, there's certainly one way you'd never be able to, and it's if you didn't try. Right?
Exactly.
We talked about that on another podcast, and I listened to a podcast on the ride here, and he's a sports guy I listen to. He does this segment called Life Advice at the end. People send in questions and stuff like that. And one of the people who sent the question was trying to start a podcast, right? And they're laughing at him a little bit. They're like, listen, there's 100 million podcasts out there, whatever. And I'm listening, the entire time I'm listening to them shit on the idea of starting a podcast. I'm like, yeah, but you know a surefire way to not have a podcast?
Is by never
is
doing
to
it.
not fucking do it.
Yeah.
So even this right now, right? Like I don't know if this is going to be successful. I want it to be successful. And we're going to keep going and going and going and going and talk to whoever we need to talk to and just shoot the shit. But it's not going to become anything if we don't keep trying it.
No.
So
you see it daily, right? You see it daily where you see, like I have other, like real estate. Let's talk about real estate. I see somebody grab their real estate license, flaunting. I'm at an open house. I'm doing boomerangs at the house, and then I'm like, okay, that's awesome, good for you. It's great, it's amazing.
You put yourself out there, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But then I see it, and 6 months later, I'm like,
Where'd you go? What happened? Yeah.
Right? Or didn't they have a podcast?
Yeah.
Let me check when they last uploaded. 2019.
Because they go for 6 months. I think that's a long time.
Exactly.
I tell people this too when we sit and do these meetings about marketing and building their brand. Everyone expects like online marketing and social media to just be that quick pill that gets you instant success. And I'm talking to businesses that have been in business for 2-3 decades. And I'll say to them, listen, online and social can get you much larger, and it can build you faster than it did offline, but it doesn't mean it's in a month. It's if it took you 10 to 20 years to build offline, that's time. It's going to take you time to build online, maybe half the time, but it's still 5 to 10 years.
Right.
That's still time. And people just have this wrong expectation of what they can accomplish in a short span, and they don't realize what they can accomplish in a long term, but they give up because of that thing of, okay, I did it for a year and it didn't work. A year is nothing. All these major companies, whether it's Starbucks or even Tesla, how many times do they fail? For years they failed. For years.
Yep.
And if that was any other regular they would have been out in 6 months, they would have been out in a year, maybe 18 months that would have been run rate.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's not that long of a time. In the grand scheme, if you're living for 80 years,
Right.
what's 1 or 2 years? That's nothing. You're going to sit at a 9 to 5 for 40 years,
Exactly.
but you don't think that's a waste. But trying your own passion for one, that to me doesn't make sense.
People see the outliers, right?
It's
Something
a great
happened.
book, by the way.
You know.
I know he can't read, but Outliers is a great book.
I haven't read it. I haven't read it, yeah.
It's thick.
Yeah.
It's definitely something.
How many pages? Over 10?
I'm
out.
More than the kids' book you read, Oliver every night.
No, but I think what happens is people see the overnight successes.
Yeah.
And the exceptions, I say this to Dominic all the time, the exception doesn't make the rule. And that's true in a lot of things, right? Like, you see somebody in really good shape, and that they don't need to do much to be in good shape.
Yeah.
Well, they're the exception.
genetics,
They're
yeah.
not the rule.
Correct,
right?
yeah.
So when you do see, there's this girl on TikTok who like duetted a song of somebody famous, and it caught, and now she's famous.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you see
Going
these
viral.
other people who have posted hundreds of videos. It's like, listen, that's the rule.
Yep.
She's the exception. You can't base it off that. And I think that's what's difficult. Is like, I'm like that. I know other people are. It's like, oh my God, we've been in.
Yeah.
What did we do this now? It's May.